Welcome back. Now, if you're just joining us, you're still onto the press, coming to you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN TV. Right now, we have Dr. Khalifa Abbas with us in the studio, with whom we are going to be doing the analysis to some of the headlines we have read to you. And as well, we are going to be opening our phone lines for you to call in and make your contributions. You're welcome to the program, Dr. Khalifa.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a while, and a lot has been happening in the country. The fuel subsidy, the Air Nigeria brouhaha, and the NLC, the new president sending some list of 20 special advisors to the Senate for approval. But then let's start from the one that is really biting hard on everyone in Nigeria at the moment, the fuel subsidy. And first of all, let's get started. From your end, what's your assessment of the whole situation at this very time?
You mean by for the removal of the subsidy?
The removal of the subsidy, the impact, the effect it has had on you as a Nigerian.
Well, it's actually a two-way conversation, because you have to talk about the effect on Nigerians, then you have to talk about the impact it's going to make in the future to come. And I believe this is something that should be removed since before now. Because of our previous government have neglected the idea of removing it. So they put the burden on our shoulders, and we keep on carrying it until now. So now we're going to suffer for it. And ideally, if anything you're going to do as a country, as big as this subsidy removal, is going to cause a lot of issues to our citizens, but it's going to make a lot of impact on the government in other aspects. If you notice, we spend almost $20 billion in a year for subsidizing fuel. 20 billion. Do you imagine what it can actually do on infrastructure, maybe salary increment? Like, it's a lot.
And maybe our refineries, because from the scratch, because we look at Dangote refinery, it was about $21 billion to raise it. So you can imagine the 20 billion. Yes.
So we spend 20 billion yearly to subsidize our fuel. And somebody spent $21 billion to build a refinery, largest in Africa.
Exactly. So you can imagine what we've lost.
And by extension, the largest single train in the world, and the seventh largest refinery in the world at large.
And the idea of the subsidy, most of our poor people like us, I don't think we actually enjoy a lot of the subsidy of the fuel. Most of the big people who are in position to either export or import products are the ones making the profits.
Yeah, I think I listened to Tony Cole, the APC candidate of Rivers State. He was explaining that he said the subsidy benefits the rich more 6 times. So it's of no benefits to the poor, actually. But then it looks as though just those 3 words that the president mentioned, subsidy is gone, is what has thrown Nigeria in some sort of disarray, where some persons are saying it's a good idea and some persons are saying it's a bad idea. But besides removing the subsidy, besides the announcement that subsidy is gone, is there anything wrong in actually taking it out or in the announcement? Because apparently it's more like Nigerians didn't realize that the PIA that was signed, there was no allocation for subsidy after June 30th.
Yes.
But some persons are saying, why not wait until June 30th before you give us this announcement? Why should it be during your inaugural speech? What do you make of that?
Okay, he has been talking about it way before the election that he's going to remove subsidy. Not only him.
Sure.
I think Peter Obi mentioned something like that.
Almost all of the candidates, except just a few.
So I think he just wanted to confirm to people that yes, I am actually going to remove it. Had it been I'm going to be the one to actually on that integration, I wouldn't have mentioned it yet because there is still time for it. But after mentioning it, people that bought fuel last week of the same price have increased their fuel to selling
instantly
higher.
Most of the filling stations locked their filling stations the same day of the inauguration. Like almost everyone locked up their stations.
So the issue is, who are the problem? Is it the government or is it the people? Because they said, I'm going to remove subsidy. Not that I have removed subsidy from today. Even if you said I remove it today, the product you're going to sell is not something you buy today.
Yes, I think
so it's something of yesterday.
Sorry to cut you. His words were, subsidy is gone.
Subsidy
Just those
is gone.
3 words.
And
he did not say, I am removing subsidy. He said, subsidy is gone.
Yes, and talking about the product and the time they bought the product, obviously the argument there now is that since they bought the product yesterday at a particular price, and today the price has been increased due to the subsidy removal, that if they sell at the old price, they may not be able to go back and restock when they finish selling the old stock. But then that being said and done, at this time we are now, obviously the subsidy is gone. The subsidy is gone, and it doesn't look like we'll be going back to the subsidized fuel days again. Now let's look at quite a number of presidential candidates. The PDP presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, they've all come out to say that if they were elected as the president of Nigeria, they would have done things differently, like ensuring that palliatives are put in place to cushion the effects of this of the subsidy right now. But then, do you think as a Nigerian now, do you think there was something, or there were things President Bola Tinubu could have done differently to kind of minimize the effect, to minimize the difficulty Nigerians are facing right now as a result of the removal?
Left to some people, they talk about these things as if it's a simple decision to make, which is not. I believe is not something you can just come out today and say I want to do it without thinking of how people are going to actually suffer for it. But when you look at the impacts and the money you are spending on it and what you can do with it, I saw what Peter Obi wrote about if he were him, he will actually do it in a way that he will bring solution before people start suffering for it. I read what he wrote. But this is politics. If you happen to be in power and anything you do, I'm actually going to say something against it because I'm not the one being there. So I have to say something that I'm going to do something differently in the way that you're doing it. The fact that they all mentioned about it, or they all talked about it, so they cannot deny it, and I'm not going to remove it just because you're not the president now. So, but you have to say something to the people that if I am the one, this is how what do you call it? How I want it, or how I should have done it, for you not to suffer for it. But either way, as long as they're selling something of 300 or 240 or 210, then after a while you take it to 500 or 700. I don't think there is any way for people not to suffer for it. And most of the everything is almost now very like ×2.
Definitely.
If you're going to buy anything at all, but that is because almost all the things you're going to buy are being exported or moving around with vehicles which include fuel in it. So, and one good thing now, he has opened the borders. So ahead, the borders have been opened.
I think the borders have been open since 2022.
Partially.
Yes.
Partially, but not as publicly as now. That we know. So maybe, I think maybe to him that would be something of that will bring not people to suffer too much, because Buhari's government did not remove subsidy, but they closed all the borders. Tell me we would not suffer for it. I get into the point. So like, we are all people of different ideas. So the fact that you being in power will make so much impact on something, if I come, I would have done it maybe differently. But one thing I believe is any government that starts now, you're actually going to see some impacts in a negative way, but maybe in the future to come will actually benefit the idea of removing the subsidy. But the idea of continuing it, I don't think is a good idea, because if we do not suffer now, we'll suffer later, or our children will suffer for it.
All right, let's take this headline on the Daily Trust newspaper, still on subsidy removal. It says artisans, business owners accuse NLC, TUC of selling out. Now, the writer says CSOs knock unions want other Nigerians covered. He said and Labour is trying to explain why they suspended strike, and there's also this story that says civil society leaders, activists to go ahead with mass protest. Now, they believe that NLC and TUC have actually sold out. Like, maybe they had some backyard conversations and they've decided not to go on strike anymore. And some civil society leaders are still willing to go out for protest. Now, do you think that protest is the way out of this, or do you think that there should have been much more means of communicating to Nigerians the essence of taking out this fuel subsidy?
I think on communication, almost everybody knows that we're spending too much on it. So by knowing, you already know that we're spending too much on things that we're not having good hospitals. If you are sick now, you have to fly abroad to feel safe. Anything you want to do now, you have to use a borrow item from another country, just because the country could not afford to build those facilities for you. And why can't they build it? Because of this kind of subsidy. So the idea of saying we should have been more communicative to everybody before removing it, still these same people are actually going to come out and talk about it. And when they say, okay, they should have gone for the strike, what is the strike going to be about? About do not remove it, or about do not remove it now? Which one is going to be the headline? Because
you know the reason why I had to ask that, this morning while on my way to the office, my driver actually stopped by at a filling station to get fuel. Then a bike man was trying to get fuel. He gave them 1,000 naira for fuel, and then they gave him the quantity that was going to be for the 1,000. That was like a liter plus. And he was complaining, there is nothing in my bike. And he was, you know, he was creating a scene. So like, fuel price is now higher. I was like, why would they increase the fuel price? Like, he doesn't even understand what's going on. So I felt like people like that, when they hear of protests, they will want to join in.
Surely.
Because for them, it is biting so hard, and they feel like there is no reason why they should, you know, bring untold hardship on us. And the first thing they'll say is, oh, they finished catch crunch, we didn't die. Now they are trying to bring excessive, you know, price hike on fuel. Some persons don't even understand. Maybe the elite understand. Maybe the few educated ones understand. So the question is, should we do more when it comes to educating Nigerians before we take some decisions? At least formulate some policies. Maybe people should have an understanding so we have a way forward. Not like some persons are saying, let's shelve protest. And another group of people are saying, no, we go all out for protest.
When you talk about educating Nigerians, and I think that is one of the topic that I always want to talk about, because most of our people are not educated.
Good.
In a way. Especially when it comes to being educative in what is Nigeria, what does Nigeria do, how much does Nigeria make, how much does it spend in everything they do, how much do they use in paying salary, how much do they spend on paying senators and members of the House of Representatives. You have no idea of what is going on. Just like you being, let me give an example. Just like you being a mother and you have a child that doesn't understand what is life, you make decisions on that child based on what is going to be good for him in the future. You're not actually going to make decisions for him about what he's going to feel okay now or not. It's about, you want to send him to good schools, you come here every day to work and make get money at the end of the month as salary, and you spend almost 90% of the money on him, on his food, education, whatever. Why do you do all those things? It's not for him to be happy at that particular moment. It's for him to have a good future when he grows. So the idea of gathering and voting for leaders is for them to make good decisions for Nigerians. So if you believe you're going to vote for people that you believe in, and they
are you sure that analogy is going to work here? Because we have to hold our leaders accountable. Am I right? So I don't know if that analogy is going to work.
No, you can hold them accountable. I'm not saying
because we can't just let them make decisions for us, because we jointly voted them in. They didn't choose to rule us themselves. Compared to parents parenting their children.
Before voting for this particular president, he said, I am going to remove it. So then you vote for him, for those that voted for him. So now he removed it. What is the problem? It's like I said, I'm not going to remove it, and I come and I remove it. It's going to be another issue. But I said, I will remove subsidy, and I'm going to win the presidency. That's what he was saying. And he won. and he removed it.
You know,
So to me, it's a man of his
some
word.
persons just even know that subsidy is subsidy. They don't even know what subsidy means.
That's the problem.
They don't even know that, oh, it's subsidizing prices. It's removing cost for you to make
and
it
let me tell you,
easy.
sorry, let me tell you something. After removing this subsidy now, within how many days that was mentioned, most of our neighboring countries now are suffering because of it.
Definitely.
Yes.
So do you understand that we're not only subsidizing for Nigerians, we're also subsidizing for our neighboring countries because our fuel is the cheapest.
Yes.
So it's very easy for our people to carry the fuel and move it somewhere else and sell it in a higher price. So they carry fuel from Nigeria maybe at the rate of 200 per litre maybe, take it outside. At that particular country, they're selling maybe 700 per litre. Then they take our own of 200 and sell it 500 per litre. Still, it doesn't make a poor person benefit more on it. But yet, you have no good schools in your area. You have no good hospitals in your area. Why? Because we are subsidizing fuel for the whole people of Nigeria and neighboring countries. And you as a person that is going to die, there is no facility to actually take good care of you, unless those that are opportune, that have money, that can fly out of the country to go and actually get treatment.
Yes.
So what are you telling me, that are we supposed to listen to those kind of people, or are we going to do what is best for them and for them to actually get a good future? For me, people are not understanding how this life works.
Okay.
We do a lot of things that we're not enjoying. I woke up every day by 6 a.m. to start my day. I sleep late, not because I want to, because I had things I was doing, just because I want to create a better future for me, my family, and people that I actually access through my benefits. So those lives we live them to benefit our future. So every single decision we make is not because we want to be happy now, or we just have to be happy now. How about tomorrow? How about next tomorrow?
Okay, now, it's still talking about this fuel subsidy before we go over to other issues. Now, there's a place for the NLC, the Nigerian Labour Congress, and last week there was a threat from the NLC of going on a total nationwide strike that was meant to begin today. But then a few days ago there was a court injunction from the National Industrial Court preventing the NLC from going on that very strike. Now, the question most Nigerians have been asking right now is, some have said that apart from strikes, I'm quoting some Nigerians now, apart from strikes that they have described as needless, that the NLC have done very little for the Nigerian workers, for the Nigerian workers now. And it's more like, if you look at the leadership of the NLC right now, they just assumed office just a few months ago, and some people are saying it's more like what we had in the previous leadership, where there were countless threats of going strike in terms of making demands from the government, and at the end of the day, at the dying minute, they are back saying that the strike has been called off. Some Nigerians have even said that what if you are calling for an increase in the minimum wage, what happens to the people what happens to the people in the private in the private sector? What happens to the entrepreneurs who are unskilled workers? So Nigerians are asking a lot of questions from the NLC, considering the fact that NLC supported a political party during the elections that also in their manifesto vowed to remove subsidy also.
So the thing is, NLC, there are people heading the organization, and just like we are sitting here talking about such decisions, that's how they actually get to sit down and talk about it. And they have series of ideas within themselves to understand, okay, we should go for the strike or we shouldn't go for the strike. One thing about the people that you get to understand is not everything you do or you agreed on as an organization that people will support or think the way you think. Because it's more like a job for you to think before making decisions. But to me, as a normal person, I only go against what I don't understand. So the main problem we've been having, it's not about why would they remove it. It's about why are they removing it. I don't understand why. What is subsidy? What does it do for me? The only thing they know is it's actually subsidizing the fuel. They're buying it cheaper. But how about tomorrow? How about the children you gave birth to last week? How about his life? How is the future going to hold? So, like I told you, the main part of our problem is education. And I used to tell this, there's a difference between being educative, in schools, like having a university degree, and again, being educative in the way of life that we're living now, especially within your own space, which is Nigeria. What's happening in Nigeria? How much are we making in oil? How much are we spending on salaries? All those kind of things are what you should have known before you can say it's good or it's bad.
It's bad, okay.
All right, now I just hope that something will be done about that. Now
Obviously.
let's move on.
And sorry, let me give you a point.
Okay.
Talking about removal of subsidy, it's affecting every single person.
Of course.
Somebody like me who sit there and to defend the government on doing it doesn't mean I'm actually happy about it. Or
But then if it's affecting every single person, what about the government officials? What about the government officials, the public officers who like I was talking to a friend now who works in one of the ministries, who's working in one of the ministry. He said most of the senior officers in their ministry right now, they've all packed their personal cars and they are now driving their official cars because these official cars are going to be fueled by the government. But then what about the junior officers that constitute the majority of the workforce? What about them?
All right, let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Oil.
All right, your name, please.
I live in Tajurafe.
All right, Mr. Jonathan, go ahead.
It's a pity because this is Nigeria. This is the first barrier that former President Buhari put into the way of President Tinubu. Petrol from 195 to 500 is very high. What happened? We have a refinery in Nigeria. We cannot operate it, and Dangote as the private sector build the refinery. What happened to Nigeria? Why we cannot build? Why we cannot maintain our own refinery?
All right.
It's a pity.
Thank you very much for your contribution.
Bible said righteous is not a nation, but unrighteous is a reproach to a nation. We are experiencing the reproach now.
All right, thank you very much.
But I pray to President Tinubu that we will have a breakthrough over this barrier, and I appeal to everyone around the world so that they will pray to President Tinubu so that they will have a breakthrough over this barrier.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate your call. Apparently, we're a religious society, so we pray about everything. So,
Surely.
so we will definitely still pray about this, that it's handled somehow, some way. All right, so let's move on from fuel subsidy because of our time. But we have this headline on the Nigerian Tribune. It says, reps to FG halt further action on Nigeria Air. Now it says, transaction shoddy shrouded in secrecy falls short of due process, demands prosecution of all involved in Nigeria Air takeoff. Aircraft bearing Nigeria Air logo chartered from Ethiopian Airlines. That's according to the acting MD. Now, it's just, it's so unfortunate because in the past 8 years, Nigeria Air could not be launched. But a few days to the end of the administration, we saw a launch, and we saw a lot of people at the on the runway, you know, watching the launch and all of that, being present at the launching. Only for, should I even say a few hours later, it was gone. And it's more like we can do anything we want to do. We've launched it, we've launched it. Nobody's going to checkmate or ask us where is it. Now, the acting MD is saying that the aircraft that was bearing Nigeria Air logo was chartered from Ethiopia. What do you make of this?
Well, Nigeria will always be Nigeria. Yes, because it's very funny and very annoying at the same time to think of this kind of thing can happen from the presidency. Because people like us are very, very happy the fact that we're actually going to have Nigerian Air now. People who actually want to travel out, it might be cheaper than buying other tickets. But just to read this, I read it the same way you read it, that the aircraft was an Ethiopian aircraft. So I don't even know what to say much about this, because it's actually I don't see how a government can come up with such idea that I'm going to actually launch something that is not there, knowing that yes, people are going to find out later, and this is later. How many few hours or few days that happened, and this is the story. But the issue now, what is the government going to do about it? Nothing. There is like, we hope like things like this happen, maybe the new government will actually query or question or ask questions about. So this issue of subsidy and other issues now will not make this headline to anywhere. Like we forget about what is Nigeria Air, what is my problem.
Are you sure? Because this has been making wave for quite a while now, and it's hitting the polity now, especially on the front page. It's the boldest headline on Nigerian Tribune. I think it's going to be, and all of the newspapers today have stories of Nigeria Air, prosecute those involved.
Yes, I read
so I don't think it's something that anybody will be able to use their hands to push aside.
No, the issue is, but even if it's going to be on headlines, I don't think the government are going to do anything about it, because perhaps it's their own government.
But talking about this administration and how much has been said about the current president, as someone who is not just one who gives you work to just go and then he sits back. He would always, checkmate you. And for what we've seen so far, what he's been doing, he even went to the anti-terrorism center to also discuss with the security agencies for unionism, and and some of those things he has started doing. Do you think that he's also going to just push that away and just ignore?
Well, it's when something happened in your family, there are some things that you have to look the other way, even if.
So you think he may just look the other way?
Maybe, I hope not.
At the expense of Nigerians' intelligence.
Maybe, I hope not. Actually, I hope he actually go further in finding out what really happened or what transpired during the whole process. I hope, but I wish my hope would become reality.
All right.
All right. Now, still talking about the Air Nigeria launch. Now, the former minister Hadi Sirika, he had 8 years to put this in place. Monies keeps getting appropriated for this. Do you think going against him now would amount to witch hunting, as most Nigerians would want to put it? But then all this said and done now, I think this is having projects like this, commissioning projects with hefty sums of monies, commissioning projects that do not exist. It's taking a very big hit on our international and on our image internationally. It's taking a very big hit on our reputation at the global stage. Coming at a time whereby Nigeria is at an all-time low when it comes to our bilateral relationships with developed with other countries. Recently, we are seeing we saw the UK coming out with new visa restrictions. All these are due to some of these corruptions that has been eating deep into the fabrics of our nation. At this point now, what do we do now? How do we move on from here? This new administration, what mechanisms do they need to put in place to prevent things like this, to prevent events like this? Because the aviation sector is a very, very important sector in any economy.
Surely.
Because if the aviation sector collapses, it's going to have an effect on our stock. It's going to have an effect on our forex. So at this point now, what do this new administration need to do now to prevent this kind of occurrences where hefty monies are used in commissioning projects that do not exist?
Well, before the election, I actually have been coming here and to discuss about the candidates of the presidency, people who are looking for the presidency, and I always go against those people that are aged. Not because I don't actually believe in their competency, but I just think this issue of commissioning a project that is not actually existing, it's what I was avoiding, right? Because if you're going to give people a project to do, or they're going to present something for them they're going to do, and after spending the money, you are going to assure that they get the money. But you're not going to get assured that the project is being done, because they're going to be busy with whatever it is in your head. That is why I think most of the candidates that are actually aged are lacking. But seeing Tinubu as a president, and we saw him as a governor, we saw him as a senator, we believe he's somebody who understands what is governance and who understood how to actually rule and be part of the system. So we believe that now maybe we're going to get a different government, because most of the mistakes Buhari's government made was trusting some individuals with their life in a way that, okay, I trust Francis and I'm going to give you a project of building a place. I don't have to go and look at it whether it was built or not.
Okay.
So him being that's why I was saying him being a good person affected Nigerians in a way that he trusted a lot of people that are not to be trusted. So the job he thought they were going to do, they did not do it.
They didn't do it.
So this is the fact, and now they maybe, because I don't know what happened within the whole process. Maybe the person that was given the project knew that he's actually not going to do it, and he thought maybe there is nothing that is going to happen about it after it. So he waited until moments to Buhari's going, then he launched it. Okay. So that maybe after the government, maybe the next government would not actually come for him.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying we don't know what's going to happen, but I hope if you are a leader and a governor or a president, whatever you assured or give anybody to do, you should go for it. Go and see whether it was done or not.
All right, let's move on to the 10th National Assembly race. It's getting tougher. Some persons are losing people in their camps, while some are actually gaining. And I saw this headline on the Nation newspaper. It says Tinubu in crucial talks over Senate President Speaker. And then on the Daily Sun, it says Akpabio's bid faces hiccups as senators-elect withdraw support. Now, there are talks that the party is supporting a South-South candidate. And now there are other conversations around Orji Uzor Kalu, that his faction is gaining more persons, while Akpabio's faction is losing. And now we have Tinubu in discussions with the party members, trying to, get the Senate President and Speaker that they should agree with what the party has chosen. So let me just read this particular writer. It says, President urges Wase, Betara, Gagdi others to accept party's choice. Meeting slated with APC governors, NWC senators, reps elect today, because some APC governors are supporting Orji Uzor Kalu. And they said the party's choice is supposed to be a South-South candidate. What do you make of all of this? Or where do you see this panning to eventually?
Well, I don't actually know what is going to happen within their decision, but I'll just tell you my own idea if I'm going to be part of people selecting who should be next. Because I believe if you look at the president, where does he come from?
Southwest.
The vice president?
Northeast.
So who is supposed to be the Senate president?
It could be any of the other zones, right?
Yes. But if you checked among our whole history of Nigerian process of politics, you get to understand that it should come from either South-South. That's to my own idea, because I believe Nigeria was a group of people that was bring together to live together for the benefit of all. So if that is the main decision of bringing us together to live together, then we have to involve every single person in every journey we take.
Of course.
We cannot be this group of 3 people and every decision we want to make is only me and Francis. We don't actually call you for it. What outcome is going to bring? Even if our intention is for the benefit of the 3 of us, you wouldn't mind. all you think about is like, I'm not involved, so I am not, but because you don't know what is going to happen. So that's why I always believe that it should be balanced, and we should go for somebody from the south.
We should go for somebody from the south. Now, let's look at the race for the speakership and the Senate presidency is something that has raised a lot of a lot of talks. But then another angle to this is the fact that is the interest of the APC, the interest of the presidency in deciding who emerges, and quite a number of Nigerians have. I think the National Assembly Act says the National Assembly shall choose their leaders from amongst themselves, by themselves, not by the presidency, not by the party. Don't you think this is too much of an interference from the party, from the presidency? And some Nigerians have said this is another move to kind of turn the 10th National Assembly into another rubber stamp, or say rubber stamp National Assembly 2.0.
Well, in politics, you cannot differentiate, or you cannot separate the presidency and the National Assembly and the Senate, because in a way that he will want to have somebody who will be his man, somebody who will listen to him, somebody who they can sit down and talk and make decisions on what is best for Nigeria. So, and in every party, before election, they have their plan. They have somebody who they want to run for the presidency, and they have somebody who they want him to be vice, and they also have somebody who they think after winning the senator seats, they want to support him on going to that particular seat. So the party always get involved. Look at the previous government. Now, this previous one and the last one we had, all the government, they had issues when it comes to choosing who is going to be the Senate president, because, like he's going to be third stronger president in the country. So he is somebody who the president will surely have an interest to see that this person is actually my person, so we can run the government smoothly without having any issues. So I think he can get involved.
But don't you think this will prevent, because the legislature now they are there to make laws, and also to act like to act as the check and balance mechanism for the executive. Now, if the legislature has been subjected to the executive in terms of the executive having a very big say in terms of deciding the leadership and the principal offices, don't you think it will water down their ability to do their statutory functions of checking and balancing the executive?
Well, that's what I said. When it comes to politics, there are things you see. Ideally, that's how it should be, the way you said it. But in politics, they don't see it that way. They see their benefit of everything. And every single thing they're going to do, it's what is actually going to be the outcome. That's what they go for. So it's what we as Nigerians are going to think this is the right thing to do, is not what them as leaders are going to actually be looking at. If I'm going to be the leader of this KAFTAN TV, I want to have somebody who I know I can trust from the right, somebody who I know I can trust from the left. So even if I make mistakes, it's going to be covered. Are you getting the point? So most of them, that is why they go for selected people that they think they can actually do for them.
All right. Before we go, there's this headline I saw yesterday that Labour is asking for 200,000 as minimum wage. That's one of the things they're putting forth, besides refineries and all of that. But they're asking for 200,000 naira as minimum wage for each for civil servants. And though we've seen places like Edo State's governments have increased their minimum wage to 40,000, and they have put things in place to ensure that people now work for 3 days in a week, to cushion the effect of the removal of the fuel subsidy. But then I saw this headline on the Guardian newspaper that says international body decries poaching as Nigeria loses 2,998 nurses to UK. And at some point we're complaining 200,000 is on the high side, but we're losing our health workers. So if 2,998 has gone, it simply means that there's going to be brain drain in the health sector. So do you think there will be a situation where if 200,000 is feasible and the country is secure, don't they?
Well, if 200,000 is the minimum wage, meaning somebody who as a nurse will earn higher than that.
Way higher.
So I don't think most of them will have the interest of actually traveling out. The main idea of traveling out of the country is for you to have a better future for yourself and better earning to make a living. So you finish, maybe graduate as a nurse or as a doctor, some people are lucky to have work in their federal government hospitals. Some are not. Some are working in a private sector, earning very little. So if you go to talk about this effect, you think of both parties, whether the people that are earning little or too much. Even somebody who is earning 500,000 in Nigeria, if he get offered to England to work in 300,000, he will go to England because it's England.
So is it because it's England, or there's something more, maybe security reasons?
Security,
and,
the welfare, other welfare.
For 90, okay, what makes of England? It's those things that we don't have, that you mentioned now. So if somebody goes for that, that means that's what he's actually going for. Not only for the salary, for the maybe how to live the life, happy ending, whatever. So we have a lot of issues as a country. Those are for those kind of people. And I always tell people that I don't see the idea of studying everything and getting all the whole education and going to another country to go and work. Even though I don't judge them, it's their life and they can do whatever they want to do. But for somebody like me who wants to see this country moving forward, I don't think it's a good idea. But if it doesn't bring food to your table, it doesn't make enough money to actually take it over yourself, it's a bye-bye. I support you as a person, but I support Nigeria as a nation. So I can go for the good ideas. I understand you can go, but this is what is best for our country. But is our leaders saying what is best for the country? Are they doing what is best for the country? Are they doing something that will benefit you more in it? If not, how will I ask you to stay? So most of the people, I have a lot of people that travel out of the country for these purposes. They finish school, they're applying for job everywhere because they think it's actually going to be a better life. I school outside the country. I know how it's actually look like. Sometimes it doesn't look like what you see on camera or what you hear, stories. Things happen that you don't actually know, that you would not know unless you're in those countries. But I tell people that yes, in as much as it has its negativity, there is a possibility and positive things that you can actually go and make. So you as a person should be the one to make decisions for yourself. Because either way, let me give you an example. America is a very good country. England is a very good country. Russia, a lot of places. But still you can see an American working in England. Doesn't mean that he earn more in England than America. It's a choice he make. But our choices is based on our lifestyle. Because some people are not having it good. And again, you talk about people that are into nursing and pharmacy and medical students. Look at the other way around. People that study business, whatever, that don't have much opportunities like nursing. If you apply for a job in anywhere out of the country, you can get as a nurse. Because like I used to see Canada having too much of opening for
medical,
and again they're going to pay you. So you cannot tell me that I have to work in a hospital close to my house and earn 20,000-30,000 naira when I have this opportunity to go.
Thank you so
and
much.
Again, most of them that actually travel out, their money come back home. Because they support their family. They pay schools for their junior ones. So in as much as they're earning outside, they're spending here.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time. It's been a wonderful time talking to you on the program today. Dr. Khalifa Abbas, Public Affairs Analyst. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always fun to be here. Thank you so much.
All right, now this is where we draw the curtain on today's episode of The Press, reaching you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN TV. My name remains Francis Adeniyi. Do well to have a beautiful day ahead.
And I am Olamide Alhassan. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.